Hallelujah. What's up? It's Vision 2020. James Lewis here, and Tommy and I are excited to bring you another excitable guest. He was a lot of fun to interview. Not only is he super smart, super passionate, very enthusiastic, and that's the beauty of it because the love of the craft comes out in everything he talks about. He has some really cool stories about his journey, starting with pre-YouTube era public access TV to get things in people's faces. My Three Scums. It should have a resurgence because it's brilliant. Not my words, but it is sort of an obscene punk rock monsters on crack. Very good description of the show, and it actually got him some work in New York. Check out that part of the story because it's really cool. He moved out to Los Angeles post 9/11, and he got some work on Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, and he's been rolling ever since. You guys got to check out Strange Nature, his directorial debut. It's a lot of fun. It's based about on a folklore in his home state of Minnesota with some frogs and deformations and things like that. It's pretty cool. So come in, follow him on all the platforms, and tune in for this interview with Jim Ojala.
Kill him. Oh man. All right. So I'm just gonna start without him. So,
okay. He was the co-host or what?
Yeah, he's a co-host. Him and I are just doing this. It's easier for both of us to do this because it keeps us accountable.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That works.
In fact, I knew him in Michigan. I gave him his first starring roles in movies.
Oh, really?
He moved out here, and then I came out, of course, last summer. And I moved like a mile away from him. So I'm like, hey, let's do some work together. So
Absolutely.
I did. It's cool.
I love your backdrop there. That's killer. It looks really cool.
It's just a.
Oh, wow. I bought it, man. I thought those were like really iridescent painted bricks. I was like, what a great idea. You must be downtown or something, you know?
No, I'm in Van Nuys.
Yeah. Yep. Good illusion.
When I was at your shop, you told me some stories that I would love for you to tell the audience. How you got started. The funny thing is, we just had Tiffany Shepis on.
Oh, awesome. Tiffany's my girl. We're going to do a little short together pretty soon. Yeah.
Her story was similar to yours with Lloyd and everything.
Right, exactly. Lloyd rescued her from, I think, even going to high school. Like, he was like ditching high school to go on set on Romeo and Juliet or something crazy.
Her story was awesome. So when her video gets released, you got to watch it.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a blast.
Yeah, I love Tiffany. Cool.
Who doesn't? You got
Yeah.
So tell me how you got started in the business. That's what I was.
Yeah. So I was in Duluth, Minnesota. That's where I'm from. And I was like a medical records clerk and a maintenance man at night and, multiple jobs. And I discovered public access. So way before YouTube, this is how you invaded people's living rooms,
yeah.
Public access stations. And my friends and I, we created this show called My Three Scums, which was a horror comedy, super offensive. Like when you're a 19-year-old punk rocker, like all you want to do is offend people,
Yes, of course.
And yeah, and we kind of got a decent amount of attention there. A lot of enemies, but also a lot of fans. But the police chief tried to shut us down. The mayor tried to shut us down. So it's like when you're a kid, that's exciting. Like you're getting reaction. Right? Like something you're doing matters.
Yeah.
So I knew we had to go beyond whatever we could do in Duluth. So I got the biggest computer box I could find, this giant box. I stuck a VHS tape of one of our episodes of My Three Scums in there with a bunch of flyers, a letter to Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma, and filled up the rest of the box with a bunch of helium balloons that said, I love My Three Scums and everything on it. So boom, the box, the stuff flies everywhere. Because, these guys, a lot of production companies, they're probably getting stuff from fans all the time. Are they even looking at them? I don't know. So it's like, okay, well, I know you're going to at least open this box. And after these balloons fly out, hopefully you'll take a look. And sure enough, like a month later, I got a letter from Lloyd saying I was a talented filmmaker. He really dug it, and to come out to Hell's Kitchen and meet with him if I can. So I instantly book a flight out there. We hit it off, and he invites me to come out and intern on Citizen Toxic Avenger Part 4, which, you know, like the world of entertainment, that's not even planet Earth, like where I'm from. So it's like, that's like this gift from the gods. It was like, holy crap. Like I really thought I was going to be filing medical record charts for the rest of my life, you know, and doing what I love to do on the weekends, you know? And, so yeah, went back to Minnesota, quit the job, went out to New York, and I was scoring like free toilet paper for them, like product placement and stuff. And I was kind of like, I was like, this is making movies, huh? And then luckily the second day on the job, they had an opening in makeup and creature effects under Tim Consign, his studio in Brooklyn. I jumped on that, went out there, and Tim took me under his wing and basically taught me everything. And before Citizen Toxic was even over, he had offered me a full-time assisting position. So as soon as Toxic wrapped, we jumped right into Larry Fessenden's Wendigo, and we're working on some Broadway stuff. And I got to work on SNL a little bit. And so it kind of all snowballed from there.
That's awesome. See, it's a great story. This is Jim Lewis. Jim Lewis. This is Jim Ojala.
Hey, James. How's it going?
Hi. Two Jims. Sorry it took me a minute to get inside this very intimate room of knowledge and horror.
Yeah.
That's all right. We can edit all of this, so that's good.
Zoom.
Yes.
I was like, I don't know how to get in.
I know this is my first Zoom, so yeah.
Oh, yay! That's
Hopping carriers today.
not your first Zoom though. This is your second Zoom. Your first Zoom was with me for ITN.
Did we do Zoom or do we do Skype?
Nope, we did Zoom.
Oh, okay. Well, you're my exclusive Zoom. Yeah. Not bad.
That's cool. I'm surprised you haven't used it for like family and friends and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, you know, we were planning on doing it on an Easter with everybody, and then it's just everybody drops the ball, and who knows? Yeah.
I know how that is.
We'll probably be quarantined at Christmas. We'll do it then, you know.
Yeah, again, because it'll come back around.
Exactly.
Yeah, crazy.
We're gonna be. It's gonna be crazy.
Tell me about your move out to Los Angeles.
So basically after 9/11, like forget about it. Like everything was over. You couldn't even, I would be calling temp agencies begging for work, and they would laugh at you. Like, we can't even keep our own people working. So it was like, and nobody knew when any of the entertainment industry was going to come back. It was just a weird time. Like, you're walking down the street and, you know, you still have SWAT team members on roofs with guns. So, you know, who the hell's going to make a movie again, you know? So I went out to visit LA. I had some friends that had moved out there since from the Toxie days. And basically, it's just so much of it is about just retaining relationships and obviously being at the right place, right time. I happened to visit LA right in the middle of a writer's strike.
Oh, I remember the writer's strike.
But
2008.
no, this was like earlier. This is like 2000, the end of 2001.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So yeah, way back in the day.
Way back in the day. I remember that one. Yeah.
So, but the one contact I had from Lloyd and from my old boss Tim was with this studio, Almost Human, with Rob Hall, and that was my only referral. But that also just happened to be one of the only studios in town working because they just got Angel and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I'm just visiting, in less than a week, I get an offer to start with them. And it was like, holy crap, like I can't go back. I had to tell everybody that I worked with in New York, like I got to stay. Like, I don't know if this chance is going to come again. And literally every single opportunity I've received in LA since, in all these years, has all come from that experience. Wow. And the people I met working, because I worked for them solid for probably like 3.5 years, Angel, Buffy, and several other movies and shows and stuff. And the contacts and friends I met in that circle, that opened up the whole world to me, you know.
So what Strange Nature, I did an interview with you for ITN.
Yes.
Is that your first movie that you've done? Or
that's my first feature. I've directed several short films and music videos and things like that, but that was my first feature. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about it, how it came together.
Indeed.
Well, I was in LA and I knew that, I was trying to get my first feature going. I was looking at just the different ideas that I had, and that's based on a real ecological phenomenon that happened in 1995 in Minnesota, where some kids that were on a hike, like with their school, started finding all these like wildly mutated frogs in these ponds on this nature hike, and they report them to the news. The local news does a piece on it. Then people start looking, and then it's like, whoa, this next town over finds some. And then this other town finds some. And then before you know it, it's spread. Once people are looking, it spreads across the entire state. You're talking multiple extra limbs, misplaced eyes, missing limbs. I mean, it was crazy. And so as a result, you would have whole population die-offs too. So it became this big, like, kind of worry and what's causing it. And the investigation went on for years. And then in 2001, the government funding got pulled from the Pollution Control Agency because they hadn't found a cause. And then it all kind of got swept under the rug. And I was like, well, this could be a great story that's still mostly unsolved. So if I could take that in the form of like an ecological horror film and show where that could lead if nobody cares because, it's a bunch of frogs. Well, at what point would people realistically care in the big picture? Is it, your family pets birthing these monstrosities, more dangerous animals in the wilderness of the Midwest, and then on up to human fetuses? Like, what would be too much to handle, where somebody would have to really do something? And I wanted to examine that, and then, but in a small confined town, like how a small town in Minnesota would deal with that, and then seen through the eyes of a single mother and her 10-year-old son who come back to the town estranged. And yeah, it was just like, all the pieces started to fit, and I knew I wanted to go back to Minnesota and shoot it because that's where I'm from, so I can get all the locations for free. I know what locations to go to. I know the favors I can get. I mean, the whole works. Plus, I knew that I needed to create a story that would involve a substantial amount of special makeup and creature effects, because at that point, this is what I'm doing professionally. And that's the one thing I can bring to the table that maybe another independent filmmaker would not be able to bring.
Yeah, so that's awesome, because I'm a huge fan of Food of the Gods.
Yeah.
Is Kingdom of Spiders, was that the other one where they're in the town and the spider?
Oh yeah, Kingdom of Spiders
like
is
both
incredible.
of them, like those two put together.
And they're real. And back then, there was no practical effects even. There were almost all real tarantulas. That's what makes it so terrifying.
I know.
See all these poor extras and babies and all this shit have real tarantulas crawling all over them, and it's so effective.
Yeah, that's what everyone. So that's awesome. That's why I love that kind of horror. That's one of my favorites.
Well, and I'm continually fascinated on where like the where real life meets fiction in terms of things like makeup and creature effects. Yeah. Like, some really strange things happen in real life, and at what point, can you make them even more elaborate and even more disturbing, or can you? Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. That's why when we were in pre-production on this, I was beating my head against the wall. I was like, I know how we're going to create the bigger makeup and creature effects, but how in the hell are we going to create these little frogs, these little malformed frogs, and have them move right? Are we going to like puppeteer them? Are we going to fit tiny little expensive servos in their bodies and do it remote control? Like, even if we can do this stuff, it still costs money and tons of time and all this. So I was like, wait a minute, this is a real thing. Why don't we see if we can get the real thing? So I start reaching out to the ecological community in the US, and I start getting great feedback from all these like scientists, where they're like, finally, somebody's making a movie about this. Because they feel screwed over by the government and the news media for just wiping this thing under the carpet once it wasn't like a hot story anymore. Yeah. And he hadn't found a cause, everybody moves on. So they're like, cool, whatever we can do. And I through all these contacts, I eventually make it to Dr. Peter Johnson, who is our ecology consultant, and who's still the leading authority on these cases that are happening in the US. And so he came on as our consultant, and through him, we were able to establish real live malformed frogs and raise them and give them a great life in the film. So all the frogs you see in the movie are all the real deal. And then we take it from there where it could go. But everything, and that's what was funny about, you know how just like, you know, like there's just so many trolls online and just like shithead reviewers that are just trying to like hate. And I've seen a couple reviews that were like, yeah, the frogs are pretty fakey or they're passable. And it's just like, sure. Yeah.
Well, if you don't have any haters, you're doing something wrong. So.
Right. Yeah, I guess so.
Have you noticed any change in special effects, like, since you got into it? I mean, are you going to try to keep it practical all the time, or have you noticed anything, like, with CGI, it's practical?
Yeah, there's, you know, every time there was a big milestone, a lot of the older effects guys, practical effects guys, would be like, that's it, we're over, we're done, stick a fork in us, Jurassic Park
like
comes
the film
out.
guys. It's like the shoot it on film guys, same thing.
Yeah, yeah. But eventually, it's like, I think we've settled in this really good spot, actually, where I think both sides are really valued pretty equally in a lot of ways, where I think the dust has settled enough that people have realized that, okay, we can't get everything we need from CG, and we can't get everything we need from practical. And we've really worked out a pretty symbiotic relationship between CG and practical, where it allows both of us to shine. And it's kind of like, oh, you know, for us to do, you know, everything, that might, you know, take another 3 months or another $20,000. And the same goes for them, where it's like, oh, for us to do everything. So it's in some cases, we'll just straight up tell the producer, like, look, with your budget and timeline, you're better off going with this part CG, or we create this part and then you enhance it from there, you know? And that way, I mean, everybody wins. There's no reason it has to be an ugly competition, you know?
No, I agree. I 100% agree. Like the way you can do things with computers and with practical, it's a good marriage. And I think it's a solid marriage for especially for films like in the modern era. I mean,
yeah,
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
So what?
But you gotta have practical though.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, I know
a
you
strong believer in
We're
practical.
old school, that's why.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to like character stuff, unless you have a monster budget, and even in that case, I seldom see it work where you have 100% CG character. It's just, it's like 9 times out of 10, it still feels like a video game.
Yeah.
When I look at it, like I need some, because the most inept moviegoer is still going to be able to be like, something looks weird about this, you know? I don't believe it, or I don't care about it, you know?
What was that Will Smith one? It was like the remake of the
I Am Legend?
Yeah, that was what bothered me about that, because it was such a cool movie setup, and then when it came, you're like, why didn't you just use real people? You know?
Well, this is what makes me crazy about that movie, is they did amazing makeup effects for them.
I didn't see it though.
They scrapped all of it, and they CG'd over everything.
Oh,
like,
no
It was just that whole idea of like, oh, no, it needs to be crazier, and we need to make their jaws stretch and do all this stuff, and it's like, no, like, no, you had great effective makeups, and they covered it all up with CG.
Yeah, if you've
never read that book, read that book. The book is amazing.
Right?
Oh yeah,
I know they made 3 movies over it, but
I think Omega Man, I Am Legend,
and The Last Man on Earth.
The Last Man on Earth.
Yeah.
It's such a good book.
Yeah, I think all the films are really effective too. Like they're all very much their own thing, but
what's going on now?
Totally different.
It's scary,
right?
You know. It's like we're in a horror movie right now. You know, I don't know. No one knows what's gonna happen. You know?
Exactly.
We even have the crazy president. You know, it's like it is like a crazy ass movie. You know?
It really is. I mean, I can't imagine another time in history where it's like I could even go back to like say 9/11, where it's like Bush had a lot of haters, but nobody was like, people still took him seriously.
Right.
When that shit went down, people took him seriously, and it was like, okay, we believe that you're gonna do the right thing and everything. And it's like, this is such a bizarre time to be in a time of panic and unrest and all these questions, and to have like about half the population not taking like the leader seriously or trusting. And it's, I mean, that's pretty scary, you know?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
No. So what projects got canceled for you during this? Like what's on hold or whatever?
There's like three, 4 projects right now on hold. One is definitely happening, but it's one of those where it's like, okay, is it going to be early May, mid-May, end of May? Like, when is it technically going to be okay? There's another one we're making this whole disgusting female fish monster thing for this other project. It's going to be so cool and so freaky. But it's a big character, and the actress is heavily involved in it. But it's like, we can't even work with her. Like, we're blindly building her part of her creature suit now just off of a form, but it's like eventually we're going to need her, you know? So it's that weird thing. So I'm busy, like, I'm writing new scripts and working on personal effects projects and just keeping all that going, you know?
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know what I missed, but where did you guys start off? You already killed like what you're doing during the quarantine?
Oh no! What are you doing for the quarantine? That's
I mean, besides like things going on, I mean, do you have anything that kills the time, stuff like that? Simple.
Yeah, you know, one. I'm trying out new hairstyles for one, and but I'm first time ever having facial hair, so it's like, okay, you know, it's like if a toy doesn't work, like nothing matters right now. So
that's right. That's right.
Right. Yeah.
And then. Yeah, you got it going on. I like the two-tone too. It's cool.
Everybody likes it.
I'm gonna try to. I don't know if I put any stuff in it, but I've been watching Deadwood. All I want to do. I've seen Deadwood once already, but like all I want to do is curl my mustache. But I'm not gonna take the time to go back and get some beard balm.
Is Brad Dourif in Deadwood too? Is that it?
Brad Dourif is brilliant in Deadwood. Brilliant. It's one of my favorite roles of Brad Dourif.
What did Brad Dourif tell you? He said you stealing the scene from him or something?
Yeah, I was in a movie that Tommy directed with Brad Dourif, but
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but Brad Dourif was like, after the scene, he said, and I don't keep this short. He's like, hey, he was like, hey, you trying to steal a scene from me? And you know how Brad Dourif has these intense eyes. Like,
he's intense. He's pretty intense.
Like, everything he does is like, hey, you trying to steal a scene from me? I'm like, hey, I'm just low-minded deputy. I'm not trying to steal anything from you.
The funny thing is that day, our grip truck got in an accident and toppled over on the expressway.
Really?
And the police came and everything, and then one of our guys was driving the police car with the fake city on it, so they got pulled over. But the cop said, "Hey, you shouldn't move it." And then we told him Brad Dourif, and he said, "Oh, is that the guy from Lord of the Rings?" We said, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, I won't give you a ticket if you let me get an autograph."
Are you serious?
Grandma Ringwald, baby.
That's awesome. Star power, man. It does everything.
Well, in Michigan, you know, because both of us are from Michigan.
Right.
Yeah. And you're from Minnesota, right?
Minnesota,
Minnesota. Yeah, man.
Got Midwest power.
That's right, man. Land of 10,000 lakes.
That's
or in our film, as it's known, Land of 10,000 Freaks, actually.
So you're working on a thing with Tiffany coming up? Like a short?
Yeah, we're going to do a little project in the next week or two that her husband's involved in. And then I just did this other thing that was pretty cool. Dread Central did a quarantine film contest where they had these pretty cool parameters where you have to make a movie quarantined where you are. You can't buy anything. It's just whatever you have available. And you can't be all bringing a bunch of actors in and stuff, run around the streets. Quarantined less than 2 minutes, and to level the playing field, it's all has to be shot on your phone. And I was like, cool. And then it's one of those where it's like the top 3 gets like cash prizes, and then you also get a first look deal with Dread Central to potentially turn it into a feature.
Yeah.
So I wrote something up quick, and I shot it, and we made the top 10 finalists already.
Oh, that's
so,
awesome.
So yeah, it's on YouTube now. It's called Unknown. It's if you can look up the Ojala Productions YouTube channel, and it's in there. But
right. So it's called Ojala Productions, and that's the YouTube name.
Yep, and you just look up the short film Unknown.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
We'll make sure we can put
Dude,
it up.
I've thought about that so many times. Like, I'm like, I want to shoot something. Like, I want to do a trailer. I want to do a pitch on my phone. Like, it's doable now, which is crazy.
Totally doable.
Right.
Well, it's like, and you mess around with like the 11 Pro, and it's like, and you have the function where you can like just so easily get the fisheye lens and get like super wide. I mean, it's just, it's pretty awesome. You can shoot in 4K on that. Like my computer system couldn't even handle it, you know? It was like, okay, let's just go with HD, you know?
Have you found you can shoot, like, let's say if you want to get like, I don't know what editing software you use, if it's Premiere Pro or
I still do Final Cut.
Final Cut. But either way, like in post, you can manipulate stuff, but on the phone, can you really manipulate that footage? Do you find that you can really make it film quality?
There's little things you can do. I mean, I don't mess with it post-wise too much on the phone. Like I'll shoot it, and then I'll just immediately import the raw footage into my computer and do anything tweaks there, you know? Because like, I mean, I know there are good programs, but I'm just kind of stuck in my ways. So it's like, I'll just let me get back to my Final Cut, you know?
Yeah.
See,
All
I'm all Adobe Premiere.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he's
That's
Adobe.
all I do. Sorry, Tommy. Go ahead, Tommy.
Sorry, I'm talking over you. I get too excited. What's your favorite horror movie, dude?
Thank you.
That's your question. I know, but I'm asking it. Your favorite
No,
horror
it's our question.
Oh, all right. Go ahead. Mr.
I'm
Ojala,
saying-
what's your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie that had the biggest impact on me.
Us. Oh!
Right there. Right there.
Yeah.
I got an original still from the film right there too. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those where I saw it at such the right time. Funny thing is, I saw part 2 first when I was a kid, probably like 10, 11 years old, and part 2 really messed me up. But it was like so fun and everything. And then I saw part 1, and it was just like, whoa, like this. It was the first film I had ever seen where it felt like this isn't a movie. These aren't actors. Some weird guy found a bunch of weirdos, a bunch of bizarre people. These are real people. There's no way these people are actors. They found a bunch of weird people and got them to do this weird stuff in this movie, and you felt psychotic when it was over, like you had just witnessed something really kind of happen. And I had never felt that, and it showed me the power that film can do on especially on such a limited budget, and it was just.
Did you ever get to meet Tobe Hooper?
I worked on a movie with Tobe Hooper, actually. I worked on.
He is kind of like that. He is kind of like you just found him wandering.
It was Dr. Pepper, right?
Yeah. At Motor City Nightmares, our very first one, George Romero had to cancel 5 days before.
Oh, wow.
So Tobe Hooper stepped in, and he hadn't done a convention in like 10 years. So it was really cool that I got to spend a lot of time with him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He was like, I don't think he ever got unhigh, ever, after that.
Yeah.
He was so wacky all the time.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that would.
But I love him. He was a great guy. What movie did you work on with him?
Mortuary.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
It was one of his kind of like direct to video. Yeah, we did some cool stuff for it, but yeah.
I love Life Force.
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
That's one of my
so much
favorite.
of this stuff is underrated, and you know, I do feel like because it's so effective, but it's so simple, and I think there is a lot of ways you could elaborate on it. I'm for the most part, I'm very against remakes, but I think Funhouse could be a pretty cool remake.
Oh, I love that movie. I
Yeah,
love
like that would be that would if I was gonna remake a movie, that would be one of my dream remakes. Because I love that film, but I also see other things you could do with it, you know.
Yeah. Well, mine is Humanoids from the Deep. I didn't see the remake of it, but that was my favorite growing up. Was Humanoids from the Deep.
Since Texas Chainsaw Massacre is your favorite, well, what did you think about the remake? I don't know if it's considered a remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Jessica Biel, right? Was that
Yeah. I mean, it's you know, I know I'm supposed to hate it, and it was one of those where I don't hate it. It was fun. It was like it's nothing great.
Yeah, and the shot of the
bullet through the head.
Threw a whole bullet through the head.
Oh yeah. No, that stuff is really effective, and but yeah, it's still like it's. I guess my biggest complaint is it was too pretty.
Yeah.
It's very glossy,
gritty and
very
dirty.
MTV editing. Like that shit just isn't scary, you know?
No,
I love the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Oh yeah, I mean amazing. Yeah, you had a great script, and it was just and they really they went somewhere else with it too, you know?
And that was awesome. So what do you have planned for the weekend, Jim Ojala?
Well,
thank you. I was like, I don't have nothing planned.
Are you still working? Are you working still? Because you said you'd still go into the shop sometime.
Yeah, I still go to the shop almost every single day because it's one of those where the studio is only like 15 minutes from me. So you go directly there and directly home. There's really no danger, you know, so it's kind of like, and I'm still setting up. Like we just moved into this new studio a little over a month ago. So we did a ton of construction. We built a whole second floor. I mean, it's a whole.
I gotta come see it now.
Yeah, totally. It's blocked off into several different departments now, and it's awesome. But it's like, okay, this is the time that you have. It's so rare that I have free time, and it's like, okay, take that time to make this place as good as it can be, and. So I'm working on that, and I'm in the middle of writing a new feature script right now, and just trying to I'm doing a lot of gardening too, actually. It was kind of like, we started to realize, you know.
Cannabis, because I could use some.
We might get to that. I'm starting small, with, you know, onions and carrots, and dude, like we're even making a frog pond. We're gonna make our own frog pond.
So your girlfriend, she's an amazing artist too. Amber?
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, because I follow her too.
Right, yeah. So she got way into gardening, and it's cool because it's kind of like, okay, how much off the grid could you go? Where like, you know, it's like if you put in a little bit of effort, you can, and if you have a little bit of yard, you can grow a lot of your own stuff pretty easily, especially in a place like Southern California.
Avocados, all that. Yeah.
Dude, we have avocados. We got a banana bush. We've got lemons. We have rosemary, onions, carrots. Like all this stuff is going. Peppers. So it's
we're coming to your place for the apocalypse.
good, exactly. Yeah.
Where's the new studio at? Is it in Burbank?
No, it's still in North Hollywood. It's actually a kitty corner from our old one because we had outgrown the old one, and it was great for all these years. But the other one was about the same square footage, but it has super high ceilings. So it's like, what if we, instead of moving into another expensive ass place, let's just build up. Yeah. So we invest a little time and money right now. Within a couple months, it'll pay for itself.
So you're still doing studio work then? They're still have you doing little things?
Yeah. There's because we have 2 jobs still going on right now. We just don't know when for sure they're going to deliver, but it's like they're happening. So we're still, and it's kind of like, okay, well, if me and Amber do most of the work anyway, then it's safe for us to just keep doing our thing there, you know? And in that way, you know, it's like you don't want to be like, oh, you know, let's just hang at home, and when this stuff all happens, and then all of a sudden you're trying to play catch up, it's like, no, because you're always, as an effects guy, you're always an effects person. you're, yes, you're always bitching about how you never have time and money and all that stuff, or especially there's never enough time. And it's like, well, now we have all the time in the world. There's no reason every part of what we're doing can't be killer. So let's do it, you know?
Awesome. Because after I met with you a couple months after, I went back and met with Steve Wang again.
Uh-huh.
He is hiring me on to do coordinating for their productions.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I have to wait for after this is done before I can start. But I'm really excited because, you know.
Congratulations. So that's awesome. He's so cool. I'm so glad you got in with him.
It's cool. So yeah, I'm just really excited to be working. Because I'm not as good of an artist as I am in the production stuff. So the coordinating, everything, that's what they need.
Right.
They need somebody that understands the effects, but still can coordinate everything.
Well, totally, yeah. And you have an understanding of that world, which is a huge leg up, you know, on somebody just coming in without that. So.
Yeah, so I'm so excited. So he's going to do an interview with us in a few days too.
Oh, cool. Well, tell him I said hello. You know?
Yeah. Dude, we're all gonna be working on stuff together here soon.
Yeah.
Like everybody's gonna be collaborating with their minds and doing our thing. If you're in North Hollywood, yeah, you're right. You're our neighbors, so we should all be.
We did an interview with Mike Mendez this morning. You know, a big ass fighter, great dancer.
Of course, Mike Mendez was our guest. We did a pilot for a kind of a horror talk show, and he was our guest right when Big Ass Spider came out. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yep.
And, well, we missed them, but the Fro Bros, the Pierce brothers that did Wretched. Did you see?
Okay.
Wretched? Yeah, we missed them, but I saw they were on a different call. So.
Oh, okay, I got you.
We'll get them soon, and we do have like.
They're another Midwest crew. They'll be in.
Oh, and we did.
Quarantine's got everybody going crazy.
The Coleman brothers. If you get a chance, go look at Halloween Inferno. They're two fan movies, Halloween fan movies. And they're these young brothers that
they're actually really good.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe like what they did on it. So I was like, ooh, excited. So I'm gonna introduce them to Stu and hopefully get.
Oh, awesome! Yeah.
Because they're just starting out. It's perfect for them. You know,
right.
Perfect size for them. So hopefully, you know, Stu and himself. You know.
Absolutely.
It's good. But no, it's great to talk to you. I would love to circle back around in the next few weeks.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we had a lot of really fascinating stuff happen right like before the virus hit too, because like we just finished Danzig's new movie, and so that was a trip. His spaghetti western vampire movie.
Did he do the music? Is that the Elvis thing that he just released? Did he just release a bunch of Elvis songs?
And he released his Elvis album, which is pretty incredible, by the way. Yeah.
That's funny.
So yeah, he brought us in to do the effects and everything, and
got you. Okay.
It's gonna be a trip. Yeah. So.
That's fantastic.
Well, hopefully we can work on something together soon.
Yeah.
Oh, we all will.
Yes, because that's what we're excited. This Horror Vision 2020, because you know I run Motor City Nightmares.
Right. Yeah.
Real life horror convention. Well, of course, that had to be postponed. Because
when is that usually?
It would have been this weekend.
Oh.
I would be there today. It's been 12 years, and this is the first time, you know.
Would you be willing to like do a studio tour of your place, like for us, like on the next visit, like show us some of the stuff you do and things like that?
We'll do if we can do a
yeah, absolutely.
Like see the creature design, see the process,
explain
the process.
Totally, yeah. We give you a great tour for sure.
Yeah.
That's good, because that's what we're doing.
That's the fun.
Yeah, we wanted to bring this before this all came out. Horror Vision 2020 was an idea that we were developing before this, and then when it hit, we're like, oh, dude, let's just give it away then instead of whatever, you know? Because I go to see Nightmares, so most of the guests that were gonna come, like Costas Mandalar, Rob Mello, the Happy Death Day Killer, they're all doing these Zoom calls to Tiffany, the Rose, you know, they're all doing the Zoom calls for us.
Yeah.
So keep an eye and watch our videos.
For sure, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Because you're one of the only people still working.
Yeah. Hey, knock on wood. It's it's kind of like hopefully it'll be good for the next couple of weeks at least.
Yeah, and if you can either text or email me some photos or something that we can put into this video. If you have anything new coming out,
Yeah.
let me know and we'll do a interview and put it up.
Okay, for sure.
You know, we can help.
Yep.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Sounds
Thanks so
good.
much. Thanks so much, Jims.
All right. Thank you guys. Stay safe. Good.
Hey,
Stay
peace out.
healthy.
Nice meeting you, man.
You too. Go Midwest.
That's right, Midwest.
Woo.
Take care.
See you soon, brother.